Hello everyone, my name is Elijah David. This is the 12th Apostolic Secretary of the Congregation Mount Out, the 12th hour, Liberty Hill, Texas. Today is September 26, 2013, or it is Tishri 22, 2017. We'll start our first service on this Feast of Tabernacles Solemn Assembly Day with a song entitled, What a Friend We Have in Yahshua.
Sins and griefs to bear, all our privilege to carry, everything to Yah in prayer. Oh, what days we often forfeit, oh, what needless pain we bear. Because we do not carry everything to Yahshua in prayer. But with trials and temptation, is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. So faithful, who will all our sorrow share. Yahshua knows our every weakness. Take it to the Yahshua in prayer. All we weak and heavy laden, with the load of care, precious Savior, still our refuge. Take it to the Yahshua in prayer. You, thy friends despise for the sake thee, take it to the Yahshua in prayer. In his arms he take and shield thee. Thou wilt find a soulless life.
Hello everyone, once again this is Elijah David. We're on part 3 of the day of the judgment, day of judgment, and we're on this here at the 11th hour by the BT Harder. I want to drive this home to you. I want to drive it home to you. We have new breaking light on all of this. With the Adventists, I want to go to my periodic time clock again, because all Israel, the whole world, is going to become very familiar with this periodic time clock. It's going to be the most inspirational, the newest thing on the teaching block that there is for people that are teachers in the house of Israel in this 12th hour. Now, the reason I say that is because all that our prophets knew from 1844 on was, well, I say our prophets starting with V.T. Harder. I don't remember you quite tired in the 11th hour, so that much. Anyway, we're in this series. We're going to do this review on this track, number 16 by the V.T. Harder. He wrote in 1955, and he called it the fleeting pre-11th hour of grace. He was in the 10th parabolic hour. This is where V.T. Harder was. He was between 9 and 11. He was midway in between. And he was in the 10th parabolic hour. And he was working and projecting the prophecies for the 11th hour. And he thought we had entered into the 11th hour in 1930 at the beginning of his shepherd rod ministry, and at Waco at the old Mount Carmel. And lo and behold, he had a big clock, parabolic time clock. When he got that headquarters there in old Mount Carmel, at his administration building, right there in the entrance when he walked into the big foyer room, he had a big parabolic time clock ingrained into the floor. I believe it was granite. It was granite rock. And it was a permanent fixture there. He had the line of the tribe of Judah there showing, and he showed this parabolic time clock the way that he had it drawn back in the early 30s with number 12 right here. And he showed 11 o'clock on there. Now my wife tells me a wonderful story today about her mother. When her mother was a child, she'd have dreams. And she'd see, in her dreams, she'd see this 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock. And she never understood that until she became a Davidian. And then she and her husband advanced into the branch Davidians. And Catherine's their daughter that I married. And she's my right-hand helper today. But her mother would have this dream when she was a child about the 11th hour. And then when she went down to Mount Carmel to see it for the first time, walked into that front foyer room there, and there was that 24-hour time clock engraved on the floor with the 11th hour framed out. And calling that the last hour. So she said, well, we are truly the last hour people. But you see, when I move those numbers back and put them in the correct spot, number 11 is 2 hours removed from the end time. Now, what if Yahweh had a clock like this? And then the Davidians would have said, well, we're occupying the 11th hour. I wonder who's going to occupy the 12th hour. But no, all they could see was the last hour was the 11th hour, and so they didn't have no reason to look beyond that. And so that's why this tract Yahweh wrote this before he died, the judgment of the living at the 11th hour. Well, it just so happens that when the 11th hour started in 1970, right here, with Brother Johnson at the helm, that started the judgment of the living for the Davidian shepherd rod people. Now it says right there, over there in Hosea 6:11, I have reserved a harvest for Judah, for you also, Judah. And we might just turn to that and read that, because I have reserved unto Judah a harvest. Now what is meant by that? Well, Judah has to have a judgment of the living start up for her if there's going to be a harvest for Judah. All right, now watch this. Well, I believe it's Hosea 6:11. Let's go look at it real closely. Also, O Judah, he hath sit and harvest for thee, when I return the captivity of my people. Whose people? My people, Judah. See, he has never returned the captivity yet of the 10 tribes. They went into captivity in the north in 721 BC. Judah went into captivity in about, I believe, 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. They only stayed 70 years, and they came back out, and they were occupying Jerusalem at the cross in the form of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but the house of David was there. The true house of David were the disciples and their followers. Okay. They were all worshiping in the temple together. So now he says, I have set an harvest for thee, O Judah. He said, when I return the captivity of my people, he said, I've set a harvest for you. Okay. So now, who is Judah's harvest? The 144,000 is Judah's harvest. Judah's the house of David. They harvest the 144,000 of Yahshua, having led the way and set the 144,000 aside for harvesting. Okay? So now, as we get into explain more about this harvest, Judah's in charge here in 2002 at the Kermit, Texas. Judah's in charge. Well, they were put in charge. House of Edom, Brother Johnson was in charge up to then, 2003. Even though Brother Johnson was presiding over the throne of Judah, he was still Antipal King Saul and King Esau that was over the 10 tribes of Israel. That's nothing to consider. David has always been designated to be in charge of the two tribes, Judah and Benjamin. But during that period of time with Brother Johnson from 1970 to 2002, the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin were captives among the 10 tribes that Brother Johnson was in charge of. They were captives, but Judah was the lawgiver. Judah is the one that had the light on how to restore the true sanctuary, not the 10 tribes. Remember the 10 tribes when they, after Solomon's death, they went and got Jeroboam out of Egypt to be their king. They wanted to go down and join Rehoboam, the king of Judah, and all worship at the temple there in Jerusalem. And all Jeroboam asked for was for Rehoboam to make their burdens light. That's in 1 Kings chapter 12, you'll find that information. Well, he says, I'll do nothing of the kind. I'll be harder on you than your fathers were, than my father was. So they said, well, we won't have nothing to do with you. We won't have any more to do with the house of David. We don't have any inheritance in the house of David anymore. So they said, we're going to go back north, and you leave us alone. You stay in the south, you run your kingdom of Judah, we'll go back north, we'll get Jeroboam to continue to be our king, and we'll take 2 golden calves and we'll worship them at Samaria, and we'll set up our own religion, and we'll set up our own kingdom with the 10 tribes. Rehoboam says nothing doing, the 12 tribes belong together, so he sent after them. Jehoram, his tax collector and so forth, and Rehoboam went with him. Went up north, going to bring those 10 tribes under tribute to him, even though they agreed not to be a part of him, but it got them killed. 10 tribes turned on and killed them. See, right there in 1 Kings chapter 12, read it for yourself. So that's what happens when. But what happened was the 2 kingdoms were never supposed to fight against each other. That's another thing. No matter what the differences were, they were not to fight against each other. So now I want to read to you and catch you up now with us here on Viti Harlov. Here in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Just a few scriptures for a prayer talk. It says, for we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of the Yahweh, and a house not made with the hands, eternal in the heaven. For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven, because that's a perfect house. That's a sanctified, purified house. And so Paul said to the Corinthians, we're designed to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven. If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. Now, if we can be clothed upon this house from heaven, we won't be found naked. For we know that in this tabernacle, for we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon that mortality might be swallowed up of the life. Now he that hath wrought us for the selfsame thing is the Yahweh Elohim, who also hath given unto us the earnest of the Spirit. Now, let's go to Revelation 3:14, and let's deal with that angel of the candlestick of Laodicea, the last one in charge of the 7th candlestick of the 7th-day Advent. And let's read about this same kind of language that's being used here, that was used here as far as being clothed upon that house in heaven and not being found naked. Now, in Revelation, let's see, Revelation 3, it talks about buy me gold tried in the fire. So now, verse 14, Revelation 3. And unto the angel of the congregation of the Laodiceans, when I say congregation of the Laodiceans, we're talking about the congregation of the Laodiceans, which is a daughter of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, third feeding pasture. Right, these things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of the Yahweh. So Yahshua is the true witness. He's the beginning of the creation of his Father, created out of his own loins. And he goes on, so this Yahshua talking now to this angel of the candlestick. When was he talking to him? 2002. 2002, it's come to Texas. This is when that verse 14 is being fulfilled. It says that the angel was talking unto him. Okay, he said, and the angel is going on, and Yahshua is going on and telling this angel of the seven candlestick brothers, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot, so thou, I would that thou wert cold or hot, so then because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Okay, because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goods and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. Now what did it say? So that the shame of your nakedness does not appear. What is that all about? Well, as we just read right here in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, it says right here, in verse 3, if so be it being clothed, we shall not be found naked. Clothed upon the sanctuary system, following the blood system faithfully on a daily basis, getting rid of our sins and then staying free from them. Once you get rid of them, when you make that first sacrifice, actually you're required not to have to go get any more sacrifice for sin, because you have ceased from sinning. That should be customary with the saint. He just brings a sacrifice occasionally if he happens to slip and fall into some presumptuous, unknown, secret sins or something, and he's pointed out to him. He wants to make a sacrifice to get rid of it. So he'll make a sacrifice of that. But then he guards against every avenue of sin from then on. Okay? So now, this is who he's talking about here. Here in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. That the angel put in started the candlestick of Laodicea is to buy of him gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed. White raiment is the righteousness of the saints. It's the purity, it shows purity, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with the eye salve. What eye salve? The balm of Gilead. And that thou mayest see. Okay? As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous therefore and repent. So, if you want to be a part of this, then be zealous and repent. And then come forward, being clean, with your sins all blotted out, and you and I can do a business together. But until then, we have no business whatsoever with each other. Now, we're going to get to our track now. I want to point up some things. It says, Judah will keep her solemn feast. B.T. Holliver's got it written here, Judah to keep her solemn feast. To is a future tense preposition. You never know when you're going to ever get to that to, ever. But if you will put in there another word that will fill in to be the right word, Judah will keep her solemn feast. Okay. And actually B.T. Hollis uses that very language right there. That's a little later on here. So now it says, for the judicial work of the cleansing of the house of the Yahweh, the initial work of the judgment of the living is now mercifully awaiting in this fast-fleeting pre-11th hour of the grace, pre-11th hour, that's your number 10. Okay. Of the self-judging, 1 Corinthians 11:31 and 1 Timothy 5:24. So now we've been in a period of self-judging, and we've passed through the antitype of that period in the 1970-2003 at the Mount Zion's 11th hour, Kermit, Texas. We were going to a formality. It ended up being cold dead formalism, but nevertheless it was a formality. Okay. So it says, our response to the voice of the message, it says, crying, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem. Now Zion, the army, is called upon to put on their strength. Okay, the prophets, priests, and kings are called to put on their full armor of righteousness and priesthood, and that would be their strength, because it says, O Zion, at the 12th hour, put on thy beautiful garments, and O Jerusalem, the holy city, for henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. Now, would you know that Jerusalem has always been called the holy city ever since Solomon dedicated that temple? And we can go to Nehemiah chapter 11, and we might look at something here. Ezra, Nehemiah, Nehemiah chapter 11. It talks about the holy city when they came back out of captivity in Babylon for about 70 years. Judah talks about when they got back and rebuilt the temple and so forth. Let's read about it. Nehemiah chapter 11. And the rulers of the people dwelt at the Jerusalem. The rest of the people also cast lots to bring one of the 10 to dwell, or for the dwelling in Jerusalem, the holy city. Now, when they came back out of captivity, Jerusalem was in ruins. They had to restore it, rebuild it. They were still called the holy city. No wonder they wept over it when they were taking the captivity away from there. They missed the holy city. There's no place like it on earth. So it says, and the rulers of the people dwelt at the Jerusalem. That's the capital of the holy city. That's where the holy city is at. The rest of the people also cast lots to bring one of the 10 to dwell in Jerusalem, the holy city, and 9 parts to dwell in other cities. And the people blessed all the men and willingly offered themselves to dwell at Jerusalem. Now there was people that volunteered to dwell at Jerusalem. Okay, so now they call it the holy city. Sister White wrote in Great Controversy. She says, Seventh-day Adventist, the spiritual of Israel day is the holy city. Call it the holy city. Okay. So we know we can go to Hebrews chapter 12, and we can confirm that analogy there in Hebrews chapter 12. Okay. Now, back to our track. It says, Behold, upon the mountains, the feet of him that brings good tidings. In other words, someone that has come with the gospel, are the keys to the eternal kingdom, and that is the keys to this blood of the Yahshua, which is the key that opens the gospel door. For this gospel, teaching of the plan of salvation through the blood of the everlasting covenant of the Yahshua, gospel of the kingdom. This is the teaching of the truth of the kingdom. Now, anybody outside the kingdom don't have this truth to teach. They don't have the inspiration on it. Matthew 24:14. Our purified house of the Yahshua. That publishes peace. Okay? So the purified house of Yahshua, which would be the house of David, publishes peace. O Judah, house of David, lawgiver, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vow. Who's commanding this? Yahshua, the one that is the true lawgiver. For the wicked shall no more pass through thee, that is, in the kingdom. So the wicked can no more pass through thee ever again in the kingdom. And they certainly won't pass through you on the outside the kingdom, because you're in the kingdom. You're never going to go out and join them out in that wicked world and let them pass through you again. They've been passing through the Adventist church for 170 years now. And the Adventist church don't seem any too concerned or upset about it. Matter of fact, less now than they ever have been. Okay. So it says, O Judah, keep thy solemn feasts. Now, what was that command to? The Judah that he merged here in 2002 at Kermit, Texas, the house of David. Finally, the house of David showed up in full regalia to take the command of the ship. Grand old ship design. I wrote a song of that. Now in Zechariah 3, it says that Joshua the son of Josedek had to stand before the angel. He had to get his garments changed. He was a brand plucked out of the burning, out of the judgment. That Joshua the son of Josedek translates into antitypical Elijah. Translated into antitypical Elijah David. So it says, this man seen upon the mountain, which is antitypical Elijah, that publishes peace, O Judah, keep thy solemn feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked in the house of Israel that you've just been separated from shall no more pass through thee in the kingdom. He is utterly cut off. Nahum 1:15. Now, what does it mean that he can no longer pass through you anymore? Well, you've come to the judgment out of the judgment of the dead to the judgment of the living. Closed out the judgment of the dead 2002. Well, they haven't tumbled to it yet what happened. So they don't come seeking us out, trying to override us anymore. But when they see us stand there with 144,000 upon Mount Zion, right here in Texas, they're going to get just a little bit excited. Be a false excitement, but nevertheless they will get excitement thinking, boy, we can still get in. All we got to do is go and follow that light that leads us to where that's at. Yeah, that's all they have to do. So when they get there, they're going to meet with great disappointment. So then, because thou art lukewarm. So now, let's back a little bit. And for the wicked shall no more pass through thee in the kingdom, and the everlasting kingdom of David. What wicked? Those that you just were separated from. We passed through each other for 32 years, 33 years. But now they are utterly cut off. It says this angel of the candlestick, Brother Johnson, is utterly cut off. That Nahum 1:15 is the same thing as Revelation 3:14 and 15. Spewing out the angel of the seventh candlestick, let us it. Nahum 1:15 is the same thing. He's talking about the same person. He is a pronoun for the same person here in Nahum 1:15. He is utterly cut off. Well, that's exactly what happened to the angel of the seventh candlestick. He was utterly cut off. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increase of the goods and have need of the nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked, I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with the eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous therefore and repent. Revelation 3:16 and 17. Is there any of you lady that has been chastised or been reprimanded by your appointed servant that's been appointed over you? Have you been reprimanded? And how did you take it? Did you feel discouraged? Did you feel like, boy, he's picking on me? Well, I was sick. Or I had this or that came up. Yeah. All you have to do is go read the scriptures, and there was those also in the scriptures that did the same thing. More of them turned down the call to the service than accepted it. Only a handful accepted. 10 times more turned it down. Okay. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are civil on their leave. Okay. What men? The angel of the candlestick of Laodicea and his son, Daniel. For the Yahshua will not do good. They say in their hearts, for the Yahshua, he will not do good. Neither will he do evil. Why do they say it? Because they have built it up in their mind that this Yahshua is a very merciful person, that he's too merciful to even want to lift his finger to even hurt one person, let alone a child. Therefore their goods shall become a good booty. We went through this on the last tape. The goods of the seven dead church all over the world is going to become a booty to the everlasting kingdom of the David. He inherits all things. And their house is desolation. Well, when did their house become a desolation? Between the time that they were big enough to get out and own a house. Okay, in our case it'd be from 1970 to 2003, or 2010, a 40-year period for Gilead overall. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. Why can't they? Why can't they stick around? Why can't they stick around and reap the harvest of their labors? Well, it's because they have a wrong vision about it all. They're using all these contributions that the good man of the house allows them to have, and they're consuming it upon their own self, to their own sinful hurt and lust. Okay. So now it says, thus Isaiah, Nahum, and Zephaniah, along with others of the prophets, prophesied of the judgment which John saw was to be hereafter, Revelation 4:1. From this time now we come to the time of that solemn event. For the judgment, the essential message of the book of Revelation is remember, in which remember all the books of the Bible made an end. Acts of the Apostles, page 585. Now we're talking about the 5th chapter of the Revelation. It needs to be closely studied. Why? Because that's a chapter that has to do with the opening up of the 7 seals that starts with Judgment of the Living 2002. Well, Sister White died over 100 years ago, so she could never start to reach up to that time. But you know what? Sister White's going to be resurrected. Somebody else had a dream back then. And he was one of the elders that worked with Ellen G. White, a very righteous person. He had a dream also. And in that dream, it says, you will not die. Sister White will not die. Okay. So he was excited about that when he came out of vision. He went and told Ellen G. White. She published it. Your work, my work, will continue on. You will not die. You will live to see Yahshua come. I think this guy was named like Lothborough or something. And he had a dream. He was going to live to see Yahshua, and a lot of those people back then were going to live to see Yahshua come. They wouldn't never die. Ellen G. White was one of them that's going to live to see Yahshua come. But she died. Okay? And so did that other person. But what they didn't see was this, Revelation 4 is for the judgment of the dead, from 1844 to 2002. Revelation 5, judgment of the living, is to start up in 2002. Okay? Well, naturally, when the prophet that wrote this didn't understand that, he's not going to put dates in there that he didn't understand. He's not going to put anything in there that he don't understand. Okay, now, it says, it is of the great importance to those who shall act a part in the work of the Yahshua for these last days. What's important? That they understand the 4th and 5th chapters of the Revelation, the whole book of Revelation. There are some who are deceived. They do not realize what is coming on the earth. Unless they make a decided change, they will be found wanting from the Yahweh, found wanting when did Yahweh pronounce judgment upon the children of men. Where it says there in Hosea 6:11, I have reserved a harvest for Judah when I return their captivity. Okay, we know that Judah didn't receive a harvest. And she came out of captivity in 535 BC from Nebuchadnezzar. But we know that in these last days, the latter day Judah, there's a harvest reserved for her. Right here in the 12th hour, and that's what we're in now. That's what we're dealing with now. So now, we are looking then to go on, because Yahweh will bless all who will seek humbly and meekly to understand that which is revealed in the revelation. Okay. This book contains so much that is large with immortality and full of glory that all who read and search it earnestly receive the blessing to those that hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written therein. Okay. It says, the wonderful revelation with the central focus of the concern being the judgment. For the revelation necessarily speaks to the subjects centuries before the actual event, the convening of the judgment, which John was privileged to see panoramically as a judgment book, containing the record of the all-time works of all nations and people, and sealed with the 7 seals, was opened by the line of the tribe of Judah. As he consecutively broke the seals, he thus progressively opened the book. Okay, when did Yahshua start breaking the seals? 1844. He broke them one after the other. When it come time to investigate a book, he opened it up, closed the other one, until he has successfully opened and closed 6 books from 1844 to 2002. 2002, he came to the threshold of the house in Herman, Texas. He brought the 7th book with him, the Judgment of the Living Book. He opened it up, and the first one he judged out was the angel of the candlestick of Laodicea, or resteth John. So now he said, when fully opened, the 7 sealed sections of the Revelation is with revealing that which is to take place at the time that the nations and peoples are to pass in review before the judicial throne, as depicted in the chapters of 4 and 5 of the Revelation, and as clearly unveiled in our companion tract number 15 to the 7 churches. It's that tract that's got the 7 churches on the front with the 7 candlesticks. I have the chart here. Through the Revelation, therefore, we who live during the judgment hour can see the past, the present, and the future. Now, the only judgment hour that comes in our day started in 1970 at the 11th hour. The judgment hour started for the 11th hour Adventists, house of Esau, firstborn of Isaac, given the first privilege to raise up to be a progenitor of the righteous line and to raise up the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob had the second choice. He was the younger. Jacob ended up getting the birthright, and he ended up raising up the 12 tribes. So it says, the one that starts in the 11th hour has the ability then to see the past, the present, and the future. That was given to Esau, and Gilead sent him Mount Zion to the 11th hour in 1970. He had that privilege. But he aborted that privilege whenever he got side-trailed and went off on a rabbit trail and decided to follow his wife and her inspiration in the place of Yahweh the Father and his Son's inspiration. We behold prophecies fulfilled, being fulfilled, and yet to be fulfilled as the judgment progresses. Now this is V.T. Hart talked about belonging unto them in 1930 on. Belongs to the shepherd valley. He says, we have this here time period now. We're in the judgment. We are in a judgment to behold prophecies fulfilled, being fulfilled, and yet to be fulfilled as the judgment progresses. Okay. Well, we know that that didn't happen with him. We know that the judgment started the progression in 1970 with the 11th hour Advent that he had sent. Now, how do we know that? It's because we learned about the extra oil in our vessels that we get when we're working in the previous hour. We store up in our vessels, our extra vessels, extra oil to lighten our path for the next feeding pasture, our next step of the journey. So, clearly, as the judgment of the living is the most important word, immediately in the connection with the present truth. I put present truth in place of the word gospel. Immediately in the connection with the present truth, the congregation of the Gilead Center needs to delight on, now more than on any other concern. Only this meet in the due season can impart unto her the spiritual vision. Meet in due season is the only thing that can impart unto her the spiritual vision and strength to keep pace with the fast fulfilling signs of the time. With the Yahshua's work in the heaven and on the earth, and with her call unto her duty. Okay. Consequently, if the denomination now fails to avail herself of this extra oil, okay, what is that extra oil? It's new light on a prophecy that is opening up. And the only way you get this extra oil is you have to have a prophet on the scene with inspiration, unrolling present truth to you, and that's where your extra oil comes from, because it comes out of the scriptures, called the spirit of prophecy, out of the scriptures. For her lamp of the truth, then just as soon as the judgment of the dead gives way unto the judgment of the living, she will find herself with her lamp going out, leaving her in the dense darkness without a message, meet in the due season. That's what happened 2002 to come to Texas. They're the ones that had all the meat and due season given to them 33 years earlier. But the meat and due season was only used for their journey of the 11th hour. They didn't store up the extra oil that comes out of the spirit of prophecy that they put in their extra vessel, because they laid their extra vessel down. They only took their lamps, which is just the oil in their lamps. They didn't say, they said, well, we don't need any more. We're in the last hour, the 11th hour. We're in the last hour. Until Elijah David moved this 11th hour back one notch, yeah, everybody was in the 11th hour, the last hour. But when I corrected the time clock, lo and behold, you had another hour left waiting. And that's the hour we're in now. And thus without light for herself and for the world, and hence without hope. Okay? So, not realizing that there's another hour after her hour was up, she laid down her vessel. Didn't get the extra oil that was needed to propel herself into the 12th hour and to come to the first judgment, starting at the house of Yahweh, 1 Peter 4:17. Shields and trumpets. That's our next subtitle. By the means of the symbols, the seals disclose progressive truth and lay open the deeds of the nations and peoples collectively. One truth following another, period by period, 7 periods in all. Then an 8th one to follow. Look at that. Did you see that? Let's read that again. By the means of the symbols, the seals disclose progressive truth and lay open the deeds of the nations and peoples collectively, one truth following another, period by period, 7 periods in all, then an 8th one follows. B.T. Holiff had inspiration before he died. 7 periods. He showed the 7th one for the Advent from 1844 to 1970, the 10th hour. Then he showed by pointing out the 5th group of labors in Matthew 20 verse 6 to follow the 4th group of labors that he was a part of. But he pointed that out, and he pointed out the next step then with the next group of labors. That the 4th group of labors worked not only the 10th hour, but they worked the 11th hour too. That was Seventh-day Adventists, collectively with her daughters, the Davidians. They worked up to the 12th parabolic hour. And now we close out the number 7. The number 7 closes out right here at the beginning of number 12 in 2002. Boris Johnson was so proudly announcing in 1970 that he said, well, we've arrived at the 7th step. We're the 7th dominion. We're the 7th generation. And he says, I have now arrived at 1970, which is another 7. He said, we've arrived at 1970. We have the 7 seals. We have the 7 trumpets. We have the 7 Sabbath days, holy days. All the sanctuary restored. We have 7 7 7s, meaning complete. And we're in the last hour. So, that's true. We have said there's only 7 dominions, 7 steps, 7 movements. And the 7th one was in the, end up in the 11th hour. So Brother Johnson had a reason to want to get any extra oil. He got all his extra oil out of the 10th hour to start the 11th hour. And then he laid his extra vessel down. And he said, I don't need this no more. I just need the light that's in my lamp. Lo and behold, Elijah David comes and joins him. So excited about the new message that I learned from brothers. I stored up all the extra oil that came from Gilead Center. For 33 years, I stored up all the extra oil that others didn't gather. And lo and behold, I had to have that extra oil when the 11th hour was over in 2002. Because I was to head up the 8th movement, which is in the 12th parabolic hour. Right here it is, number 8. Here's your 12, short hand on the 12 and your long hand on the 1, showing we have 1 more hour to go. The 11th hour is over here, 2002. Now we've got 1 more hour to go. And that's the 8th movement. That's the new order. Okay? There's that 8th beast of Revelation 17, the scarlet color, that goes into perdition. He's of the 7th. And he comes from the 7th. He was the 7th, but he's of the 8th now. Elijah David was of the 7th for 33 and a half years, from 1970 to 2002, but he's of the 8th now. David in the type was the 8th son born of Jesse. Incidentally, I was the 8th person born in my family, not the 8th son, but I was the 8th person born in a family of 8. I was number 8. It just so happened that that lot fell on me to play the role contemporarily with David in the antitype. David was a musician, he was a songwriter. I'm not a professional musician, but I love string instruments. I've had one for 65 years in my hand. And I loved to write poems when I was a little bitty, and then I have written over 200 songs and poems and prose in the last 50 years. Okay. So I have basically the same traits that David had, and talents, similar talents, very similar. Okay, for a detailed study of the 7 seals, see our companion tract number 15 to the 7 churches. Okay, now that we're in the 12th hour, we're in the 8th movement, the 8th step. Another thing, there are 8 3-hour sections pointed out here on this 24-hour time clock. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 is a complete number for a full day. The 2 12-hour days put together, 24 is a complete number. Number 7 times 3 is only 21 hours in a day. But when you give each hour an equivalency of 3 hours, then you start right here with the number 1, and you count 8 of them, closing out the 12th hour. 8 times 3 is 24. Okay. Now, 24 hours times 60 minutes to an hour equals 144 equals 144,000. Multiply it out. Having unfolded in the 7 seals one phase of the truth that concerning the sealing period, inspiration following with the 7 trumpets containing the complementary phase of the truth, that of the destruction which result from rejecting of the sealing truth. Thus the trumpet envisions the work of the faithful and the destruction of the unfaithful. Revelation chapter 8 to 11. For a verse by these studies of the 7 trumpets, request our track number 5, the final warning. Okay. After the concluding of the events of the trumpets, the Revelation bears record, chapter 12, of the ever-living church and her enemy, the dragon. There we are told that the earth helps her by the opening of its mouth and swallowing up the dragon's flood, Revelation 12:16. For the hypocrites in the church, this further illustration of the cleansing work in the house of the Yahweh discloses when it is that the remnant, the escape to the Israel, Isaiah 4:2, those who are not swallowed up by the earth and finds himself in the conflict with the dragon, then it is that as a group they keep the commandments of the Yahweh and still have the testimony of the Yahshua, Revelation 12:17, including the restoration of the daily, and the raising up the tabernacle of David, and close up the breaches thereof, and the damage done to the sanctuary, when it was last restored and raised up from 1970 to 2003 at Kermit, Texas, Gilead Center. Spirit of the prophecy, Revelation 19:10, manifested through a living prophet in the church. Let's read that again. Those who are not swallowed up by the earth, okay, meaning worldliness, by the earth, Babylon, going back into Babylon, find themselves in the conflict with the dragon. Then it is that as a group they keep the commandments of the Yahshua, or the Yahweh, the Father, and the testimony of His Son Yahshua the Messiah. That's the laws that's the statutes of the sanctuary with the blood system, and still have the testimony of Yahshua Messiah, Revelation 12:17, as the ever-living Spirit of prophecy, Revelation 19:10, and when it says ever-living Spirit of prophecy, it's talking about a living prophet in her midst with the inspiration to interpret the present truth coming out of the prophecies. Okay, manifested through a living prophet in the church. Here it is right here. Still have the testimony of Yahshua, Revelation 12:17. For the ever-living Spirit of the prophecy, Revelation 19:10, manifested through a living prophet in the church. Okay. History of the mankind. Obvious it is that in the day of the judgment, each seal and each trumpet, first one and then another in the sevenfold succession, disclose the events in their respective categories, with the seals embracing the total sealing phase of the whole history of the mankind, and the trumpets embracing the complementary phase of the consequent destruction upon the rejections of the truth. Coming now to chapter 13 and 17, we view a threefold symbolization, a special representation of the world yesterday, today, and tomorrow, as it stands before the judgment throne of the Yahweh and the Yahshua. First we behold the leopard-like beast. The leopard-like beast, which is a composite of these 4 beasts that had gone before it in Daniel's vision. Okay, so he's bringing all of these beasts and their dominions forward. Okay, let's read about it. It says, having 7 heads, the leopard-like beast having 7 heads and 10 horns, the body of a leopard, the feet of a bear, and the mouth of a lion. The leopard, the beast, is manifestly a composite symbol made up of the components of the 4 beasts of the Daniel 7, the head of the lion, number 1, Babylon, the feet of the bear, Medo-Persia, the body of the leopard, Grecia, and the 10 horns of the nondescript beast, Rome, right here. Thus, this composite symbolization obviously reveals that the leopard-like beast is a descendant of the Daniel's 4 beasts, 4 kingdoms, up to the cross, and is therefore a melting pot, as is said, of the ancient nations in general, and depicts the world of today in the particular, necessarily so, too, because all nations of the past as well as of the present, both dead and living, must come before the throne of the judgment that is now in progress. Hence, they are being embodied in the composite beast symbolization, or the symbolism. Moreover, the 10 crownless horns of the Daniel's 4th and nondescript beast, being symbolical of the kings that were to arise from the disintegration of the Roman Empire, Revelation 17:12, that's this beast right here at the cross. In contrast to the 10 crown horns of the leopard beast, John's leopard-like beast that has the 10 horns with the crowns on them, showing independent parliamentary rule by the nations now that has been set free from this papacy, from this beast right here. Okay, of Revelation 13:1-2, prove that the latter beast is in the particular the symbol of the world after the fall of the pagan Rome. Fall of pagan Rome fell in 1798 AD. This beast came on the scene representing pagan Rome, but in a different form, representing all the beasts carried back to Babylon. This is still more vividly seen when we bring into the sharp focus the fact that the crownless horned kings of Daniel's 4th beast, right here, show that they had not yet possessed their kingdoms, whereas later on, John's 1st beast, they are crowned, showing that they had finally taken their kingdom. So all the nations of Europe, independent parliamentary rule, they had taken their kingdoms to rule independently. They had independent governments. They were not connected anymore to this beast here. They had been set free. But now they are gradually over here to the scarlet-colored beast. They go back into captivity again. This brings the close of our stage this hour. Contact us at the 11th hour. Call us number 11. Click on our audio archives. Hear this message and more. We will close now with a song. Beautiful Garden of Prayer. There's a garden where Yahshua is waiting. There's a place that is wondrously fair, for it glows with the light of His presence. There's a beautiful garden of prayer. Oh, the beautiful garden of prayer. Oh, the beautiful garden of prayer. There my Savior away, and He opens the gate to the beautiful garden of prayer. There's a garden where Yahshua is waiting, and I go with my burden and care, just to learn from the lips words of comfort in the beautiful garden of prayer. Oh, the beautiful garden, the garden of prayer. Oh, the beautiful garden of prayer. There my Savior away, and He opens the gate to the beautiful garden.
mercy.